button has been pushed. Are we live? It says it's going, but now it just needs to connect. There we go. It's starting on YouTube. We are live with the man who does not need any introduction, but I'll call him Chris Doyle for everyone. So, was it yesterday that you made that post?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
All right, well, I didn't catch it until you made the edit. Like, you said I have to come in here and edit the caption.
Right. Right, because okay, so for those who haven't seen it, I posted this clip from the movie Hot Rod, which is such a ridiculous movie, but also hilarious at the same time. And there's this scene in there where he's explaining to his girlfriend, whose name is Denise, which is the same name as my wife, ironically. He's explaining to Denise why he has to quit doing stunts. And it's a really funny reference to MC Hammer's "Too Legit to Quit" song. So he does this whole thing, and I remember I was watching Hot Rod randomly, and I was like, "That's really funny. I should post that," and let the record show I haven't been a paid professional bike rider in over a year now.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought people already knew that, just based on my social media presence, like not having any more like rock star stickers on my helmet, or like doing a lot of sponsored posts or anything like that. So I kind of thought people just knew that I wasn't riding professionally anymore.
Yeah.
So when I put that post up, people took it so literally. And again, it's just a ridiculous movie quote. They took it like, and
I
people
saw.
started, yeah, and people were like commenting as if like they were saying goodbye to me, like, "Hey, see you later."
Like, you're
Peace out.
never
Like,
going to ride a bike again.
they thought I was like done riding. Like after
Yeah.
that post, bikes, gonna be sitting in the garage collecting dust. But that's really not what I intended. Although a lot of people were super, super nice and very, very supportive. They're like, "Dude, you're inspiration. Your riding meant a lot to me." And those were all really nice comments to read, but that really wasn't my intention. It was more just to be funny. Um, funny with a bit of truth, but
Yeah.
people just took it in a whole different direction. And again, they were nice comments, and I just wish people hadn't taken it so literally. And that's why I made another post today to like kind of clear things up. Like, hey, I'm still riding. I'm still going to be active in the
Right.
BMX community. I'm still going to be doing whatever it is I do. It's just career-wise, that's not what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, I got the impression that nothing was going to change other than the professional side of things.
Exactly. And everyone has a different definition of like what a professional is, especially a professional BMX rider.
Yeah.
And I think maybe my my description of a professional might be a little bit more old school, in that a pro to me is someone that gets paid to ride. And like I said, I haven't been paid in over a year to ride. So therefore, I was like, I'm not a pro anymore.
Yeah,
And
you have the
I was
exact
okay
same
with that.
definition as me.
So I was okay with that. And a lot of people will be like, "No, you're still pro. Like once a pro, always a pro." It's like, well, okay. And I guess no one really announces when they're not professional anymore. I don't know if because they're embarrassed or what, but I I never said anything. And then I guess
Yeah.
people took that post to be like, "Oh shit, he's done. He's done." So, and I don't want to look like a hypocrite when I'm posting riding pictures and clips like that.
Right.
So
Well, yeah,
don't
you just don't want people to have the wrong idea.
exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
want to put like something out there that gives people the completely wrong idea and then just let them have that, which is why you made that second post. But I guess that kind of makes my first real question a pretty easy one to answer. I feel like maybe it's not. Um, but I was going to ask because I just assumed that this was currently happening and that you currently, like, yesterday was like it, or the end of the year was it. I was going to ask, was it easy, like, to do that?
Um, was it easy to make that post, you mean?
No, to like take that step back from being professional, like to go from being paid to not paid. Like, was that an easy thing to do?
It was it was and is difficult, but it was still easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I'll explain that because like ever since I turned pro when I was like 18, I'm sorry, when I was like 16 is when I turned pro officially. But when I started like actually making a living and when it was my career, I was
Mm-hmm.
always afraid that like when the day was going to end,
Right.
uh, when I was going to be done, whether that be injury or just lack of sponsor interest or whatever. But it wasn't hard because I didn't have anything else left that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And for lack of a better phrase, I feel like the last maybe 2 years of my career, I kind of felt like I was milking it a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really of like a pro level rider, but I was still like getting paid. And I kind of felt guilty about that. And then after my heart condition, I started to really feel hypocritical promoting things like energy drinks on my
Oh,
social media. So
yeah.
it was just a weird vibe for me personally, and I was like, like I don't think I should be doing this anymore
Yeah.
as a professional. And I definitely think there was a lot of people with the brands that I was riding for that deserved my paycheck over me. So um, when when all was said and done, when it was like official, like my last sponsor stopped paying me, um, I thought for a second, oh, maybe I'll like see what else is out there. Like maybe I'll try a different sponsor. But then I was like, nah, like my relationship with my previous sponsors were all so good. I don't want to burn those bridges and
Yeah,
just kind of
absolutely.
let it go away. And just and plus my wife and I now have a family. And being a pro rider for so long, I've missed birthdays, I've missed holidays, I've missed so much that um, I was like, it's time to give more time to my family, especially to my children.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because I was gonna ask like if having kids changes the perspective and makes it easier to do something like that just because you might realize how much more time and how much better of a life you might be able to make happen without having to worry about trips and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I was still traveling quite a bit the first year of my daughter's life. She's 3 now. And in the first year, babies changed so much. So
Mm-hmm.
I would be like calling home and like FaceTiming and I would look at my daughter and I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks totally different than when I left. Or my wife would be like, oh, she rolled over today. I missed that. And there was just it was becoming very real that I was if I kept doing this, I was going to be missing more and more milestones of my children's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, which is totally respectable, and all of that just spells integrity to me. Um, you kind of keep hitting the things that I was going to talk about, but moving on from there, because you say it was kind of easy. It was easier than you thought. What about
I mean,
some?
don't get me wrong, it's still it was difficult and it still is, especially within the world of social media
Yeah.
because people are nice. People will tell you like give you compliments and tell you you're awesome and tell you like everything you love to hear and you start to buy into that and you
Mm-hmm.
start to think like what everyone thinks I'm so great, why am I not getting paid? But you got to be careful not to buy into that and
Right.
just realize like okay, I'm 38. I don't I did everything I wanted to do. I'm good. Like thank you for the compliments, but I need to focus on other things.
Yeah. So with that, you said you did everything you wanted to do. What are some career highlights that pop up in your mind if you think back?
Um, wow, career highlights.
It's almost a weird thing to say because it's like the riding career isn't over, but the paid career is over.
Yeah, yeah. As far as like what I was most proud of, like uh, speaking in terms of like actual like awards or accolades, I was really Nora Cup was really really cool.
Yeah,
That was like because it was voted on by your peers.
right.
It's voted on by the riders, and um, that was like I never thought anything like that would ever happen to me, because I was always just the guy that was happy to be involved. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just happy to be here, guys. Thanks for everything. But um, when other people think that you're worthy of something like that, I thought that was really cool. And if I'm being honest, like I never really kept a lot of my accolades. I never kept a lot of trophies or anything like that. In fact, I got rid of a lot of trophies to make room for toys because we're so out of storage.
Yeah.
But like I was like, I'm gonna hang on the Nora cups. Like, I
Oh,
was really proud.
definitely.
I was really proud of those, and overall, just like to really quote unquote live the dream. Just to be able to have this life and to do what I love for a living. That was kind of like an achievement in and of itself, because I don't. A lot of people never really got a taste of that, and certainly not at the level that I felt that I did achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. What about like tricks or like a certain like gaps that no one else ever did or anything like is there anything like that? Not so much winning something, but like doing something.
Um. Oh man. Uh.
Highlights that way.
Highlights. Man.
Because obviously there's the things that people can name off, like the ramp riders gap,
Which.
the turn
Oh
down,
yeah.
uh, just anything like that maybe that pops to mind.
There was Man. There was always like a handful. Like man, it's hard to pick one that I was like particularly proud of. We did this kink trip in the south of France years ago, and the whole trip ended with this contest in Pessac, France.
Uh,
It was this big contest, and there was this like 6 foot quarter pipe, and then like 15 feet to the right of it was this huge vert wall.
mm-hmm.
And like I remember, like, this is on YouTube somewhere, but I went out of out of the quarter pipe and like tail up into the vert wall, and that was like that was something that I don't think a lot of people saw, but I was very proud of that. And I was like so beat up after the trip and then after the contest, and like to get that transfer done with the tail whip was like really special. And like it wasn't like a huge contest, but like that,
Yeah.
for some reason when you asked me that question, that really stood out.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that stuff. I don't want to hear about 360 turn downs or tabletops or any of that.
No,
I love that outside.
yeah, that was yeah, that something. And again, like, I think people would have to go find that on YouTube, but I was pretty proud of that, like just getting something like that done, and after being so beat up.
Dude, those are the best ones.
Yeah,
The
I
ones where
earned
you're just like, this is like, this could not happen right now, and then it happens.
it. Yeah,
That's the best.
there was a couple different times like where I thought I was in over my head, where I was like trying something and I'm like, there's no way this is gonna work.
Yeah.
And but I'd already like drugged the whole like team there, drugged the whole like camera crew there. I'm like, well, I kind of feel like I have to try this now. Like in my ender in safety first, when I do like I do a manual and then gap to second stage rail.
Yeah.
When we got there, I was like, there's no way I should be doing this. But like Daryl's got his angle and Jay's got his angle down at the bottom. Like, yeah, this looks sick, man. I think you got it. And I'm like, oh God, all right. But it got done, so
Yeah.
I kind of felt like a stranger in my own body
Is that
while I was
the
doing it.
is that the feeble one?
That's the feeble. Yeah,
The infamous.
yeah, the
I feel like I
FNL.
was yelling feeble before I even knew what that even meant.
Um, the funny thing with that is I just told the story the other day when I did that, when I actually landed in that feeble.
Mm-hmm.
So I do the manual, I gap, my front wheel felt a little high, and I was like, well, I'm dead, because I thought my front wheel was going to go over the rail, and then it connected perfectly in
That's
a feeble.
awesome.
Yeah,
Praying for a Derek Duster.
I just praying just not to get killed.
Okay, so moving on from there, since we talked about career highlights and how difficult it was to actually like move on from that, I had a question that I really wanted to ask: is are you satisfied?
Yes, yeah, without hesitation. And I think my career could have ended 10 years ago, and I'd still be just as satisfied, because really, just it, I don't know how to say this without putting in too many cliches, but like, you are only young once, and you
Yeah.
really only have a small window to be a professional BMX bike rider. Um, and I feel like uh, I was just very, very lucky and very fortunate to come into the sport when I did, and then to kind of ride that wave, and then just to be around for so long. I think I was just lucky, fortunate, and that's that.
Yeah, and to be able to kind of go out of that side of things, like more or less when you want to, kind of when you feel like your life has got to that point, is something that not a lot of people, I mean, maybe not a lot of people, I wouldn't know, I guess, but that some people don't get. Some people are forced out of it by whatever, and I feel like I would definitely be proud to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, from there, these are going so quick. It's nice. Are you? Do you want to talk about what comes next?
Like career wise.
Just anything, because now you don't have the responsibilities that you have to put forth with. And I wrote all of these not knowing that you were already out of it for a year.
What comes next? Well, first and foremost, my family
Yes.
comes first. I wouldn't say they come next because they're already a big part of my life. But throughout my career, I was very fortunate to have done well in some big contests and do well and have some like bigger sponsors that paid good money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bragging here, but I'm just saying that I was able to live pretty far below my means and just put a lot of that money away.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not set for life by any means, but I'm okay for a little while.
Yeah.
In that I can be at home with my kids, and I'm not like worrying about making ends meet. My house is paid off. Our vehicles are paid off. We have very little debt. So
That's
I just
awesome.
played my cards that way. Like I always tried. Like I remember, because ever since I was younger and I started doing this as a profession, everyone's like, "Hey, man, be smart about it because it doesn't last forever."
Yeah.
So that's always what I had in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to be done with riding. Say all my sponsors leave me, and then like the next day, I'm like, oh, I have no money. I need to like go
Right.
work some Joe job that I don't want to work. So I always wanted to have a little bit of time in between being a pro rider and my next career. So that's where I'm at now. And what a lot of people don't know is I've had my real estate license since 2016.
Yeah.
But I put it in uh, referral uh, while I was still being a pro bike rider. So my goal is to reactivate my license and start working in the real estate industry, probably as early as this spring. And I like the idea of being a real estate agent because, yeah, especially in the beginning, you have to hustle,
Yeah.
but you can make your own schedule, and I can still be around with my kids and working at the same time. And I know it's not going to be easy, but excuse me, I keep like burping.
You're fine.
Uh, I have two friends here that are also real estate agents, and they have like a little team, and they've saved me a spot on their team
Yeah.
for since 2016,
Nice.
and I'll probably work for them and just start grinding away and
Yeah.
start selling some houses.
Well, I would
But
imagine.
again, I picked that career because it is flexible.
Yeah.
And my wife and I don't have any close family around here, so and the cost of childcare is ridiculous. So I'm gonna be with my kids as long as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely have heard situations where it's like literally not even worth it for one of the parents to have a job, or for both parents to have a job, because they're paying almost the same amount of money back to the person who's watching the kid while they're at work,
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah.
crazy.
My brother told me when his kids were young, he was paying like $2,500 a month for childcare.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
Dude,
like,
that's like two houses out here.
I know, right?
That's crazy. Um, wow. we definitely covered a lot there in that last question. But I will say I definitely don't think you'll have any problems grinding in that world, because if there's anything I've learned about BMX, it's grinding in the world of BMX is so much like less rewarding as far as like monetarily and what you get out of what you put in than anywhere else. If you put the same amount of effort into anything else, success is the only thing that really can come of it.
Right, right. And I don't mean to plug my own podcast,
Go
All Over
for it.
BMX. Um, I did my first interview that I did was with Chris Bennett, and he kind of says
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you just said, where he talks about like if you can focus the same energy that you have for BMX, if you can focus that on something else, you can be just as successful. Like whatever is in you that made you a successful bike rider can make you successful in just about anything.
Oh, 1000%. It's because of BMX that I learned how to edit videos and get to where I am with this. So it's like, I don't even know. I didn't even need the passion for it. I just used BMX. You also talked about how you had a lot of people say things like playing your cards right, like this doesn't last forever. What if you had an entire team, a company's team of 17-year-old AMs about to turn pro? What would you tell them for their future? I know things are different now, but being someone who's lived through literal decades of being a pro rider,
Oh my gosh.
I know it's hard.
Yeah. Wear a helmet. um,
Yes.
Gosh. Keep an open mind. Stay humble. Uh, Boy, that's a tough question. Because when I turned pro, the there was so much opportunity
Right.
in
You turned
BMX.
pro in a time when all you really had to do was ride your bike.
All you had to do was ride. You had to get in the magazines.
Yeah.
Uh, if you could do well in a contest, there were a lot of contests. There was,
Mm-hmm.
there was the DK Dirt Circuits, there was X Games, Gravity Games, contests overseas, and so on and so forth. If you were like a top 10 guy in in the competition world, you got sponsors, you got flown places, you had a travel budget, and you were making decent money. So it was a lot easier to get swept up in it when I turned pro. It's like
Yeah.
I jumped in the water and the wave just got real big. So
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of rode that wave and until it was kind of not possible anymore. But so for a 17-year-old now in the year 2020 turning pro, gosh, I wouldn't even know what kind of advice to give. Just like I said, keep an open mind and stay humble and I don't know, try hard because like I said, you're only young once, and you're not going to ever get an opportunity to do something like this again. Like no one decides at 40, like I'm going to be a pro bike rider. You
Right.
can't do that. So I just embrace it, enjoy it, and stay modest, stay humble, and usually good things will happen.
I feel like that's a really good answer to that. Um, Man, so what comes next as far as like riding goes? Obviously, you've been doing it for a year past this, so you already kind of know.
Yeah, honestly, just keep doing what I'm doing, and you and I have had a couple sessions together since.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
I
could see a
didn't know.
change.
I didn't even. I
Um,
honestly had no idea.
uh, yeah, riding wise, I just want to maintain a skill level that I can be proud of.
Yeah.
Um, I still do all the same tricks that I did. Well, I don't want to say all the same tricks because I definitely don't do a lot of the tricks that I did when I was like 18. But like, um, I still have my little like routine that I go through when I'm at the
Mm-hmm.
skate park. Um, I just that's just how I've always been like that though. I've always been pretty routine in the tricks that I do. So yeah, like I said, just maintain a skill level that I can be proud of. I never want to like get on my bike and feel uncomfortable or feel scared,
Yeah.
and because I've seen a lot of friends go through that take like a year off or take 6 months off, they get on their bike and they're like, whoa, I don't feel right on my bike anymore.
Right.
I never want that to happen. So I just want to be able to stay consistent and, keep the skill level up, keep the stoke up.
Hey, you gotta keep those straight double trucks going, man. The suicides.
Dude, I haven't done one in a long time.
I just remember somebody telling me a story about hearing you talk about those.
I still remember the last one that I did, the last suicide double truck.
Yeah.
It's a funny story if you want to hear it.
Oh, I want to hear it.
And I don't know how many of your listeners are from Canada, but I was up in Canada for a contest. It was like the last Metro Jam they ever did. And there was that big, long box jump. It was like 5 feet tall, and it seemed like it was like 20 feet long. I might be exaggerating that a little bit, but throughout the whole contest, through qualifying, through finals, there was like a group of Canadian dudes, and they're all screaming, "Suey double truck, Suey double truck, Suey double truck," over and over. And prior to that, I hadn't done one in probably over a year.
Yeah.
And I made finals, and I rode like crap. Like, I rode terrible. And I'm riding off the course, and they're all screaming, "Suey double truck, Suey double truck." And I thought to myself, like, all right, you sons of bitches, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to slam so hard. I was like so disappointed on like how I rode. It's like, I'm going to crash super hard on this Suey double truck, and I hope you guys all feel bad about it. And I swear to God, it was the best one I've ever done.
That's awesome.
Like, through the bars, arms stretched back, and like felt so good. And like the place went nuts. Like, all those Canadians were just like shake, because it was in a hockey arena, so they're like banging on the glass. They're like, "Yeah, Doyle." I felt like the man. And then I go home, and it was like 2 days later, and I'm riding with my buddies at the trails, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude," I was telling them the story about doing the Suey double truck, and they're like, "Yeah, let's see one." And my confidence was high.
Oh.
So I hit the set, and I go to do the Suey double truck, and my bike just falls out from under me.
Oh.
My bike lands on the ground, then I land on top of my bike, and my handlebar stabs me in the chest, cracks my sternum in half. So then I had to go to the hospital, and like they had to like pop my sternum back out. It was so painful. So that was like the last attempted Suey double truck that I did.
Man, what a way to go out on that trick.
Broken sternum.
After getting built up by all the Canadians in the hockey arena.
I know. I saw a couple of those guys in New Hampshire a few years later, and they're like, "Dude, can we see the Suey double truck?" I'm like, "Nope."
Never again, sorry.
only in Canada.
Oh, there you go. It's the Canadian magic. That is funny. Do you think, would you ever do like given the opportunity of someone local or whatever, do you another video, or maybe not necessarily like DVD section or anything, but just video?
I would film some stuff for sure, but I don't think I would push myself too hard.
Yeah.
To like film like a banger type of video part. If someone's like, "Hey, I just want to film like, I want to film you just doing your thing, whatever you do like on a normal basis." In fact, they're filming for a new Empire video right now.
Nice.
And Bob Sherbo was like traveling around filming people, and he was in Columbus filming Stephen Hamilton for a little while.
Nice.
He's like, "Hey man, I want to come to Pittsburgh and film you." And I'm like, "Okay." And I got pretty nervous. I'm like, "Hey man, I'm not like throwing myself downstairs. I'm not doing anything progressive." And he's like, "No, I just want to film, like, do whatever you want." Like, so we just went to the skate park and filmed a few things I was actually really stoked on. But again, I don't like nothing out of my comfort zone. Like, I'm not, because literally the last video part that I tried to film like nearly killed me. That's when I had my heart issue.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I was trying to film the video part, but I was like stressing myself out trying to film clips.
I'm sure that wasn't helping.
Right. So that was what so yeah, I would film a part, but I don't think it'd be anything groundbreaking.
What about a double section with a certain break guy from Ohio?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna make that happen this year.
Yeah, that's a fun. That was really fun doing the wall tap thing. Like that
Yeah,
was
I
a ton
didn't
of fun.
realize how close we were until I watched that back again a couple days later. I was like, oh man, that could have been interesting. We could have did tire taps on
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so with that, I didn't really have anything else written down other than just is there anything that you want to say or anything like that? Because I mean, like I said, I did going into this, I thought that this was just happening like yesterday or at the end of 2019. So I feel like a lot has probably already been gone through in your head. You're probably not. It's not fresh anymore.
Um, anything stuff I want to say is that, like I said on that my last post on Instagram, I'm going to continue riding. I'll be putting pictures and clips up on my Instagram, and uh, you'll probably see me at jams and maybe even the occasional contest. Although I don't know if I'll enter or not, but I'm still going to be around. I'm still going to be very active in the BMX community. I still plan to do like the commentary and the expert analyst
I was
type
going
of
to
stuff.
ask about that.
But I've never really hustled those jobs before. Those are kind of things that have kind of fallen into my lap.
Yeah,
Um, I love doing this stuff for the X Games for ESPN. That's a really good production crew to be working with. Um, Red Bull TV has always been great. NBC was always great. So when those opportunities present themselves, I'm going to jump all over those because I really try. Uh, and this is going to sound so cheesy. When I do those high profile events, I really try to make BMX sound as cool as humanly possible. Um, and I don't take any shame in saying that. Like even if it makes me seem cheesy, I want everyone to really understand what BMX is about. Like whether you've been in it for 20 years or you're just seeing it for the first time, I try to make it sound as appealing to everybody. So hopefully I can continue to, spread the BMX word doing that stuff.
I mean, I would say you absolutely do a great job at exactly what you just said. It seems very conscious.
Um, and then yeah, as far as like things to say, like as far as like retirement goes, just thanks to everyone that reached out that said nice things. Again, I didn't mean the post to be as literal as people took it. People got pretty emotional. Like there's some comments if you read through there, people like kind of poured their hearts out a little bit. And again, that's nice. I appreciate the compliments, but we don't need to take everything so literal.
That, yeah, I mean, just yeah to that. Um, it is cool that people felt like they could do that on a
Yeah, which is
Instagram
fine.
post.
I'm not knocking anybody. And for a split second prior to me editing the post, I was just like, oh, I should just delete this right now. But I'm like, you know what? Like, there's no shame in this game. Just let it
Right,
be.
right. What did the original caption even say?
The only thing it said was conversations with my wife be like dot dot dot. And people jumped on it like, oh my god, dude, what?
Oh
So
man.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't like what it appeared to be to some people.
Yeah, I'm still riding. You're still gonna see the turn down, the invert, the normal stuff that you've become accustomed to seeing.
Hey, as long as I can give 540 Hurricane and 5 tap to ice, I'm
Dude,
satisfied.
you got it, man. After that day, I was like, well, I can do hurricane. Like prior to that day, I was like really inconsistent with them, but like
Yeah,
after that, I've been like 100%. So thanks for having me do that day.
dude, no problem. I will never. There'll never be a time where there isn't one of those. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think though with that we've kind of covered everything. Is there anything that you feel that we didn't cover? Anything to do
Uh,
with this scenario?
no, pertaining to the current events, I think we've covered some good ground.
Okay, well with that, I'm gonna stop the stream. If you guys have not seen his podcast yet, you've you're living it right now, basically, but with a whole lot better people than me to talk to, like Chris Bennett. You did one in a private jet,
Dude. Yeah.
like just a lot of really cool stuff. And I would imagine that once you get through the grind of the realty startup and all of that, you'll be putting the time into it, I'm sure.
Yeah, doing the television events gives me a good opportunity to travel, and it puts me in touch with a lot of different bike riders and a lot of
Yes.
different personalities. So hopefully, through that, I can continue to do more interviews. It's funny. I wanted to do an interview this weekend at Ray's, do another podcast, but selfishly, I was like, no, I just want to ride.
That literally, you asked me that if we could do it at Ray's this weekend, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can take an hour and a half out of that day.
Exactly. My time is a lot more valuable to me now that because I don't get to ride as much. Like I'm like, oh, if I have like 3 hours to myself to ride, I'm gonna like capitalize on it.
Absolutely. With that being said, I hope that the podcast keeps coming up, and I hope to see names that we don't really see, because I know that you know a lot of those guys that we don't really get to hear from, and it would be really cool to, like, Chris Bennett is somebody who, like, you're not going to see on the average BMX podcast with a younger guy who's knows today's pros.
I've got some big plans. I don't want to like drop any of the names, but I do have a plan for like a couple like heavy hitter dudes that I think people are gonna be like, wow, like I totally forgot about that guy, and yeah, there's a lot of good stories that I plan to get out there.
Someone is screaming in the chat. Tell him to get Bob Sherbo on the podcast.
That'd be sick.
You get that, and I'll get Hamilton.
I don't know if Bob would do it. Bob's a great dude. He's a good storyteller, and it would be the greatest podcast, maybe. But he's the type, he doesn't like talking. Like you put a camera on his face, and he's like, he clams up a little bit. I don't promote drinking or anything, or I don't like. I would never push it on anyone. But maybe if him and I had a few beers, loosen up a little bit.
Just pull it out secretly and be like, so, Bob, welcome to the Palaver podcast.
And Bob, like, I'm like intimidated by Bob a little bit because he's so cool. Like, he's like the coolest dude that I'm like, I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah. Oh, I asked Hamilton to do it one day when he was staying at my house, and he's like, he was like unsure. I'm like, oh, man, I feel dumb. But yeah, I think I'm gonna shut the stream down now for real, guys. So thank you for tuning into this. The whole point was to clear up any confusion, get out some information that anyone might want to know, answer any unanswered questions, and point you guys to his podcast because it's great already, and there's been only a handful of episodes. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Brant. I'll see you Saturday.
Yes. All right. Good night.